Welcome back, everyone. It's that time. It's time for Birthday Bash, specifically Phobies Birthday Bash. Shout out to Vendi and happy birthday. It's the 2-year anniversary. And I know that I'm excited about those brand new Phobies, those brand new maps. I'm really excited to dive in and also to maybe crack into that vault of coffee beans that we've been sitting on for a little bit. Maybe open a few packs and see what's there. But I want to know from everybody else, what's your favorite phobie or your favorite thing you've seen from the update so far? As of right now, it's only a few hours old. But there's already stuff floating around. People are already theory crafting. I know a few people in my Discord server have already opened brand new Phobies. And we got the balance patch, and already people are crying for more balance patches. So we got a lot to talk about, chat. Let's get into it. What's good, chat? What's good? It's too early for this nonsense. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Got to start early. Eric, what's good? What's good? The bill collector is the coolest phobie. Is it, though? Is it, though? I'm a big fan of the collector's animations. I'm a big fan of all the animations, which I think is worth taking a look at. Now, before we get into everything, I know I'm much tinier, so you got to pay attention to me down here for a moment. I am, in fact, part of the content affiliate program. That means the Phobies team does, in fact, give me coffee for producing in-game, producing Phobies content. I don't produce anything in-game. That was a slip of the tongue there. But we are going to be looking at some in-game stuff. So let me pull this up for you. We want to look at the patch notes. We're going to get to the pack opening. We'll get to the pack opening, but let's do this in segments. I'm going to have to do the YouTube intro and outro at different points because, I'm going to pull these from multiple videos later. But let's see. What I thought we would be good to start with is this. I don't know how well this is going to work. We're going to learn together, chat. These phobies are bonkers, chat. I know this is old news to everybody. Everybody probably has already seen this multiple times. But I realize that I never actually watched these, or haven't since, like, full disclosure on stream with everybody. And I think there's really cool stuff to be shown in the trailers. First of all, as always, shout out to the devs, shout out to the artists, shout out to the entire Smoking Gun team. Release 1.9, Birthday Bash Monster Mash. We got some really cool phobies, and as always, the Phobies team does not disappoint, whether it's in the art direction or with the unique phobies and abilities that have come out. Yes, we'll call them palette swaps. They're not really. They're kind of reworks of the models, like, as chat's pointing out, the Red Rocket Man. And of course, we have Hercules. Still, I'm going to refer to that thing forever as Hercules. Just putting it out there. It's going to be interchangeable. But all of the phobies are really cool. I love what the team has done. But we're going to take a look at the patch notes together, give you my initial thoughts, the hot takes, and we'll kind of go from there. Red Rocket Man? Oh, no. Uh-oh. All right, chat. The biggest party of the year has arrived, and everyone's invited. Phobies is having a month-long party to mark its second anniversary with our newest release, Birthday Bash Monster Mash. Here's a look at what's included in the update. Okay, so right off the bat, month-long, and it does get into it in the patch notes later, what's happening over the course of the month. You're going to want to start logging in on the 7th. This is being recorded on the 5th, so I'm going to try and get this up as quickly as possible, but it may have already started by then, so if you're listening to this, go make sure you log in. So additions, phobies. There's 7 new phobies with fresh abilities are sure to make this party one to remember. I don't know why, but the grammar on that is bothering me, but that's just me. Anyway, so first up is Prometheus. Its special ability allows this monster to create or destroy lava tiles. So the Rocket Man you saw that was red, or Red Rocket Man if you prefer that, there you go. Created tiles inflict 150 fire damage per turn for up to 4 turns. I can only assume that that does scale with level. We saw similar things, way back with Bluelium and the healing spa scale. So presumably this scales as well. But interesting to know its baseline starting less than the than regular lava tiles. I had a brain fart there for a second, but the creation and destruction of tiles is pretty cool. And I'm very excited to see where this goes because there's a lot of implications for this. Prometheus is also immune to damage from fire and fire tiles. So before anybody asks, yeah, if you hit it with a fire ant or a boss, you're going to take the base damage, but then the fire underneath is what this is dodging, or at least that's what I'm assuming, which again is really cool because just that on its own is going to be incredibly impactful on how it's going to affect the game state. You can position in places that you otherwise would not have been able to. And hopefully, before the end of this, we'll have the chance to actually look at the cards themselves. Prometheus is available exclusively in a special offer, active from March 5th through April 2nd. It will become available in card packs after the offer expires. So we get our typical bundle. As of right now, I don't have it showing in the store, but I can only assume this is the same sort of $100 bundle. If you're watching this by the time it goes live, you'll have to let me know. If you're living in the future and you're watching this, let me know down in the comments. All right, I don't know how to pronounce this because there is an accent mark over the O, but I'm just going to say Phantom. $100 for the Phobie plus 4K coffee. That sounds about right. Like that's roughly what we usually get. So I'm going to say Phantom here. This monster is able to teleport friendly Phobies within a 3-tile range to a tile adjacent to itself. Use this ability to get a comrade out of harm's way or to line things up for a major attack. So this is the the antithesis of Heartbreaker. So it's only appropriate that we have Heartbreaker and now we have the palette swap Heartbreaker. And honestly, this, we'll talk about this later when we get to Les Chauvel. I'm enjoying some of the phobia names. This is pretty cool. Just pronounce it in French, of course. I should ask my wife. But yeah, this is actually really cool. I think this is a really cool ability. I mean, we saw it in the trailer, and I think everybody kind of assumed that as soon as they saw the palette swap Heartbreaker go up in one of the promotional pictures, that this was likely. So I guess worst kept secret sort of territory almost. But this is a really cool and is going to have, again, huge implications because there are tons of phobies, and we did see it with the shovel guy. We saw it in the trailer booping a Waffalo Will, but you can do the same thing with this guy. Could be pretty good. Saying things however he wants because no one can hear. I say things however I want to. Just everybody can hear me and correct me. I'm sure they will. That's usually how you drive engagement. You intentionally mispronounce or misspell things, and then it drives engagement. Moving on from there, we got the Collector. It's tax time. It is, in fact, tax time. The Collector uses its stack of tax documents to boggle the minds of adjacent enemies. This monster's melee attack passively removes 1 turn from any enemy phobie that gets hit based on self-AoE range. So for anybody that's confused by that, and we'll definitely be able to show you this one, spoiler alert, what happens with this phobie is that it has an AoE melee attack, and when it hits it, it dials them. It removes an action from them. So there is a lot of stuff that could happen here. This is a really cool ability. I play the game to get away from life problems, and now they're in phobies. They're following you. Makes them pay the bills. I can't. All right, this one is kind of cool. I'm going to say Haffy. I don't know if that's actually how it's pronounced, but somebody pointed out on stream the other night that this is based off of haphiphobia, which is the fear of being touched. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly, but we'll go with Haffy. This new mechanical monster surges with a self-attack buff after it takes damage from an enemy. Damage from environmental tiles or status effects doesn't trigger this self buff. This is pretty cool. A lot of people are pointing this out as the new early game tank. Very low damage output. There were a few screenshots floating around, but again, we'll get to look at the phobies themselves momentarily. This is pretty cool. I like what this is offering. I have to see it in action. This one's I'm a little skeptical on for actual usage, but clearly there's the opportunity of, hey, I'm just going to block off certain things. If you have AoE, you're in for a rough time, that sort of thing. Someone from Discord told me it's pronounced like half, but I'm not buying it. I mean, it probably is, but I'm going to call it halfy because it's funnier than me. It's my stream. I do what I want. Les Chauvel. Shovel Shark. Push friendly units one tile with his monster special ability. Shove a friendly phobie out of the way of a pending attack or even into a pit if you need a creative way to clear the battlefield for a new monster. So this is like the devs actually pointed out something really unique here that, yeah, you could just off a random one key that's clogging up your team that you don't want sticking around. And all of a sudden you're no longer bound to your phobie maximum. Odds are you don't want to have to do that. That's absolutely going to be a desperation move, but is a move that is in your toolbox. But the larger implication, and this one's already having some people in the main Discord screaming for nerfs, is that this allegedly, and I haven't looked that closely at it yet, allegedly does not have a warm-up. So you can immediately pop this out and boop things to get them farther into range than they might have otherwise been. This is very cool. Similar to Phantom up here, I'm looking forward to trying this out because we've only to this point seen Akira and to a lesser degree Paddles really have this sort of ability. So this is incredibly powerful. There are tons of one-move phobies that are all of a sudden going to explode in popularity. And there's also some one-move phobies from the rebalancing that we'll get to in a moment that they are now 2-move phobies. So now they're 3-move phobies. And like, this is nuts. This is nuts. Next up is Hercules. This Jin Sting cousin has a devastating AoE bee attack. Bees! We're going to be in for a lot of bees, chat. This special attack includes 50% damage fall off for enemies on adjacent tiles to your target. This is a huge amount of area. There we go. I need somebody to do it. I'm real excited for this. First of all of the phobies, but I don't know why, but I'm really drawn to Hercules. Murder bees. Is that what the ability's called? I really hope the ability's called murder bees. I really hope it is. But this is really cool. I don't know why, but I'm really drawn to Hercules as well as the next phobie, but we're not there yet. As far as visuals go, I think there's something really cool about Hercules, but bees! Last one is Brute Worst. Probably my favorite name out of this batch. I do appreciate all the others, don't get me wrong, but Brute Worst is just spectacular. I love this one. I want to know who named this thing because you get the gold star for this update. One bad sausage. Brute Worst inflicts disease with its melee attacks. This monster's special ability also inflicts damage and disease using self-AoE. So this is going to be really interesting. It's melee, it's disease, so it has a few things going against it, but it is an AoE, and it's also a sausage. Personally, I was on Team Fork, where I thought the fork was the phobie, and the sausage just happened to be there, but it looks like the sausage is the phobie, so you guys win. You guys win. Brute Worst, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it turns out. Isn't Hercules almost exactly like Hematic? What's the big difference between them? It's a much, much larger AoE. Like the area that it covers is larger. I think a Discord member came up with Brute Worst. Nice. It's basically good sushi. That remains to be seen. Should have named his ability Wiener Takes All. That would have been great. That would have been spectacular. Same AoE as Mildred? Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the point. So there's the answer to your question, Gravedigger. It's good. It's a much larger AoE. So we did already do a video on this, and if I remember during editing, I'll pop the thumbnail up there. You can watch my initial hot takes on this. I didn't go through this all that closely off stream, but I didn't see anything that changed, and I didn't see anything that's missing. So none of the devs didn't have a change of heart, we'll say, based on what they announced versus now. So you can go check out my thoughts from the previous video. Until we really get in there, I don't think any of my thoughts on them have really changed all that much. I'm still concerned about the things I'm concerned about. I'm still excited about the things I'm excited about. But in conjunction with the 7 new phobies that we got, there was also, I think we counted it last time, of 30 phobie changes. So if you look at it in a way, we are getting 37 new phobies, because some of these basically didn't exist in the game. When you're talking about high-level competitive play, or even low-level competitive, like anytime where you're trying to win, if your goal is to win, you want to use the best stuff, right? So you're not even going to bother putting some of these on the board. Now, all of a sudden, you need to consider them not just from your side, but also your opponent's side, because they are much more reasonable. Now, that being said, one thing I did notice is that in this bottom section, and we talked about this in the other video, that there was an error in the initial announcement that a tractor is supposed to be in this bottom section, where this is the watch list. Well, maybe not watch list, but basically we hear you, player base, there are problems, or you feel there are problems, but we don't have any evidence right now based on the KPIs and the win rates to prove that these phobies are an issue. And a tractor should be on this list. It's in alphabetical order, so obviously you can see well, actually, it's not in alphabetical order. It's alligator klepto. How did that happen? The rest are in alphabetical order, aren't they? No, they're not. What is the order for this? It must be, because these are monsters, these are mechanicals, but then that's a monster. I don't know. Whatever. I don't care. That's not important. Point is that they specifically mentioned bad sushi as before. There's a number of phobies that people had brought up way back in the balance survey. This was put out several months ago. So the devs are listening. They did decide to make some changes. They elected to not make other changes. But as mentioned in this, they are not just putting it down and saying, all right, good luck, everybody. They are still monitoring things. It's just going to take more time and or more evidence to justify further changes. So, as I like to say, prove it. You think one of these things is broken? Go out there and body the ladder. Put your phobies where your mouth is? I guess you could do that with brute worst. That wouldn't be that weird, right? Would that be weird, chat? I don't know. Other than that, we're moving on. We got 5, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new maps adding into future map rotations. I'm always of the opinion that the new maps should come in basically immediately with the patch, but at the time of this recording, it is Tuesday, so we'll see what we get in a couple days with the map rotation. Never Forever is a small map featuring conveyor belts on the office theme. All right. We get a return of the conveyor belts. I'm excited about that. You're excited to see the new maps? I am as well. They are always, pretty much always, I don't want to say more exciting than the new phobies, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. Night Shift is a small Office 2 themed map focusing on close quarters and strategy. Office 2 themed map. I don't know what that means. Are there 2 different Office themes? Like, is Megalo different than Eternal Monday or RCO? I'm curious. Crypto and RCO? Well, Crypto I don't think is the Office theme. Like, Crypto is its own theme. I think Office 2 is the red one. That would make sense, because in my head, I'm trying to picture them, and I think one's more reddish and one's more orangish. Office 1 is the brown one? Okay, maybe it's more brown. Yeah, but Crypto is Crypto's tile set is a totally different tile set. But we got two new small maps coming in. Notably, the conveyor belts is cool, like I said. Night Shift is focusing on close quarter strategy. I'm very curious what that implies. Like, there's a lot of ways that could go, and it sounds like knife fight in a closet time, but we'll see. Center Stage is a small map on the Carnival theme, so we're getting a repeat on the Carnival theme, which is pretty sweet, featuring an obstacle-protected center Panic Point. So Rise to Stardom, but small map? Question mark? That's the vibe I'm getting from this. We'll have to see how this turns out. I'm excited by that. Here's the one I'm most excited about. Last Rites is a large cemetery-themed map featuring diseased ground tiles. I don't really care about the diseased tiles. I just like the repeat on the cemetery theme. That's actually really cool to me. It's my favorite tile set. It's the most recent one, but I think it's awesome. I love that tile set, so I'm very much looking forward to this one. Last one is Castaway, is a large map featuring the Island 2 theme, featuring pits and obstacles. So Island, is that? What one is the Island? Is that the like Pyro Abyss tile set? Or is that it can't be the full disclosure tile set, right? Because the full disclosure, the only reason I think Island is like the Easter Island heads. But I'm assuming the Island is like Pyro Abyss. But pits and obstacles. Bring it on. Let's go. So we got new phobies, we got new maps, we got new balance changes. Well, we got balance changes. I guess they're new because we did have previous balance patches. But anyway, moving on from there, we got Vendy gifting. Vendy is once again celebrating his birthday by giving gifts to our players. Shout out to Vendy. Always looking out for other people. Vendy is Santa Claus in March. So it's kind of weird, but we'll go with it. Players can log in and receive a special daily gift from your favorite shop monster. It is, in fact, my favorite shop monster. It's the only shop monster. Well, I take that back. I guess technically Golem is too. He's on the coffee. Neither here nor there. Daily gifts begin on March 7th and continue for 7 days. Gifts become available at midnight GMT. Players who live in regions that observe daylight savings time may notice that their local times may vary. Be sure to check in with Vendy every day to ensure that you don't miss a gift. I said it at the beginning. There you go. Make sure you don't miss out on Vendy. We need more Easter Island themed maps. They haven't had a single new one since the theme dropped. True. Very true. So after that, we get some fixes to events, fixes to gameplay, localization. Shout out to Glob for always bringing in them bugs. Fix an issue where two opposing globs attempt to digest each other would cause the game to crash. That has not happened before. We've definitely seen globs eating each other, which is just weird, but it's true. And then some stability patches. So, in closing, thank you to all of our players for making these past 2 years of Phobies such a rewarding experience for our team. We're delighted to celebrate this anniversary with all of you and hope you enjoy this latest update. Happy battling the Phobies team. Shout out to the Phobies team once again. This is a very exciting update. I'm looking forward to this. This is really cool. I think there's a lot of things to explore. I mean, new phobies, new maps, new balance patches, tons of stuff. I'm very excited to see what phobies are like, which phobies are actually going to make a big splash, which ones maybe are going to, we're all hyped and then we're like, maybe it didn't work out so much. And of course, I want to see what Vendy has in store for us. But let me know, like I said, down in the comments, what you're excited about, because I have a spoiler thing for you, chat. Got to hang on for a second while I get it set up. I got my own surprise for you. And in fact, you're going to get to see it here, chat. I have two in mind who I think are going to be terrible. Well, here's a question for you. Do you think the Collector is going to be one of the terrible phobies? Because I think the Collector's pretty cool. I mean, hashtag just say it. The Collector here, we're going to talk about all the phobies. I have to load them up into OBS. Maybe we won't start with the Collector, but I just wanted to show that one off a little bit. We were provided, the content affiliates were provided the the Phobies cards. So let me pull those up. Here we go, chat. For part 2 of this initial video, we'll get to the pack opening, see if I get any cool Phobies from the update shortly. We got almost 40k coffee to open packs with. I'm obscuring it a little bit. You know what? There you go. There's the 37,661 coffee. I don't know how I got that one stray coffee. Probably from a Jack. But we're going to talk about the new phobies from this update. First up is the Collector. Why the Collector up first? Well, it's the first one in the order I put it in, but also because the devs were kind enough to give me one. Shout out to the devs. We got 14 copies, spare cards, so we can upgrade it a little bit. But let's talk about the Collector. So the Collector is the newest addition to the 8-key team. 220 health, or 2200 health, excuse me. 1 move, 1 range, 600 damage, and oddity. Removes 1 enemy action. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, that is a fantastic question. It basically functions like Dial. If you're not familiar with Dial, Dial will remove actions from the phobies that it hits with its ability. But in this case, we're looking at a phobie that will do it with its baseline attack, which is incredible. So oddity, officially, I'm reading this off the back of the card, reduces attacked enemy units' actions per turn by 1. And as you can see there, it's going to have 2 turns of affecting them. It's clearly a dimensional phobie. There's a lot to like here. Now, as far as how is this going to function at a competitive level? Like, how often are you going to put a Collector on the board and it's going to win you the game? Normally, I would have said that this would have been very difficult, and I would not have been very impressed with the Collector. I would not have been impressed with the Collector, to be perfectly honest. Now, the reason why I am hesitating on that now is the existence of some of the other new phobies. We have 2 new phobies added to the collection that allow you to move your team to places that they otherwise would not have been able to do. So whether it's Phantom, or it's Les Chauvel, or it's Akira, or it's Paddles, you now have 4 options to make sure that this guy is making sure that your opponent pays their taxes on time. Because when that thing shows up, it's taking away, it's halving the effectiveness of your opponent's team. Think about it. If you had Bad Omen and it reduced their total damage by half, that's pretty solid, right? But this thing is also dealing 600 damage because it's not just an ability. It's a dimensional, so it's going to displace things when it dies. But notably, if you remember pre-nerf, Boss at 8 keys had 2,120 health. This has 2,200 health. That's a bigger number, I know. Math whiz, galaxy brain here. But like, that's more health. It is tankier than Boss was pre-nerf, and we all know how difficult it was to actually challenge a boss. Admittedly, Boss had other factors going for it, but we're putting that aside for the moment. The Collector, if it actually connects, could be catastrophic to your opponent's team because, again, it's essentially a power down effect. You're dealing 600 AoE damage. You're powering down all their phobies because they're going to deal half damage output, and that's assuming they stay there to fight. Because it's entirely possible the most appropriate course of action is for them to run for their lives from the taxman. I don't know. Like, that's probably not going to work out. It's probably not going to work out. Because there's only 2 things that are guaranteed in life, chat. Death and taxes. Which, honestly, this is yet another phobie that deserves flavor text. I'm telling you, I need flavor text for all the phobies. Every phobie. I need the devs to release it in a big compendium. I think it would be great. So, honestly, I'm unsure about the Collector. 8 keys is a big investment, but the payoff for this could be huge. And I could see, given that I was expecting Les Chauvel and Phantom to cost way more than they did. I really thought they were going to cost way more than they did. But they are somewhat cheap. So the Collector on small maps may be a thing. And then you can get in there, just drop him into the middle of your opponent's team, and all of a sudden you turn him off and the rest of your team collapses in and the game ends. So I'm real excited to see where this guy goes. I'm of 2 minds. I'm not sure exactly where this guy's going to end up. But let's move on from there, chat. Next up, we have Prometheus. So, if you don't want spoilers, now would be a good time to have already looked away because it's too late. You've already seen it. It can't be unseen. Yes, Rocket Man. Red Rocket Man. This guy looks mean. Look, I'm just saying. Although, admittedly, the underside of Rocket Man, like the top had the eyeball, but I would imagine that the mouth that's here on Prometheus was probably on the underside of Rocket Man. And when it attaches to your face or your head, it's just not going to be a pleasant experience at all. Dark, fiery Starro. Yeah, this is Starro if it was infected, like if it was possessed by a demon from hell. So, Prometheus. 4-key, ultra rare. As mentioned earlier, this is, of course, part of the bundle, which at this time we haven't seen it, but chat was confirming that it's the usual $100 bundle, $100 USD. So, 4 keys, 1800 health, 2 move, 1 range, 400 damage, immune to fire. So that includes lava tiles as well as fire tiles. I would say go to hell, boss, and fire ant, but I mean, like, is that just like I'm taking my ball and I'm going home? I don't know. You tell me, chat. But Fearvidius, what is this a play on, chat? What is this a play on? I'm not really clear on what the ability name is. Like, obviously, oddity is you're getting audited by the tax man, right? I'm not clear on what this one is. But the ability from Prometheus is it can either create or destroy a lava tile. So the text here is can be used to create or remove lava on adjacent tiles. Created lava lasts for 4 turns. And, of course, it's immune to fire and lava damage. So, here's the... And this was a question that I had on stream last night when we saw it in the trailer. And we were streaming, and people were asking questions, and we were hypothesizing and speculating about what this could possibly do and how it functions. Creating the lava tiles... definitely cool. Definitely a fun way to box your opponent in and make them uncomfortable. It's going to be important to see whether the lava scales, presumably it does, and how impactful that is. Because, as we've seen already on the ladder, past a certain stress level, a lava kind of doesn't matter anymore. It matters, but you just tank it. So that spare damage isn't going to be great, but it's a 1 warm-up and a 1 cooldown, so, like, you can burn these pretty damn quick, no pun intended. Like, you can just spam the board with these, and then all of a sudden, the floor is lava. Lol. The cool thing, though, is the destruction, as far as I can tell from the wording, is permanent. So you remove a lava tile from your side, it's just gone. Like, gone. And this has huge implications for a variety of maps. So, well, the floor is lava. No, it's not. It's not lava. Then there's maps such as Crypto. Does that suddenly change because now you can remove not just the obstacles with Gravedigger, but you can remove the actual lava tiles? Chat's pointing out Scopaceum. There's a ton of lava tiles on random maps that could allow for unique positioning that previously was not reasonable. Yes, I said on the ladder that eventually you outscale the lava tiles, but for most players that's not true, and this guy shows up and all of a sudden he's doing some mean things. I agree, the 1-turn cooldown is amazing. This is going to be really cool. And it's interesting that now we've gotten, although Blue Lion got nerfed, we've gotten 2, I guess if you ignore Crushmore and Gravedigger, 2 tile manipulating phobies, Blue Lion and Prometheus. And both of them were 1/1s. Well, I guess Blue Lion was a 0/1, but this is going to be interesting. This is going to be very interesting, and I'm excited to see where this goes, because the idea of messing with these tiles has been something people have talked about for a long time, and the implication, of course, is that maybe in the future update we'll get something to interact with Abyss tiles, or disease tiles, or conveyor tiles, or poison tiles, or, you know, and the list goes on, like whatever else they come up with. So the precedent has been set. This is pretty cool. And honestly, I could see the immune to fire clause being the biggest piece of this. Whether it's standing on tiles or just absorbing boss hits or fire ant hits or whatever, you still take the damage or the explosion damage from the trap, but then the fire doesn't affect you, so that is dramatically lowering the damage output from whatever is hitting you. So I'm excited about this one. I'm looking forward to it. Next up, we have Brute Worst, quite possibly my favorite phobie out of the batch. Brute Worst, the Sausage. 6 key, it's a rare, 2,500 health. It's a 1 move, 1 range, so melee. 500 damage, but oh, by the way, Boviitis? I don't know how to pronounce that. We're going to say Boviitis. Somebody correct me. I'm sure you will. It applies disease. Disease. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. I am concerned about it mostly because... Concerned about it from... Oh, by the way, it's a monster. We didn't really talk about the dimensional aspect of Prometheus, but Brute Worst is a monster. Wiener takes all. I really think that would have been a way better. Somebody right now, pause the video, chat, you can come back to the stream, go put the suggestion in for Wiener takes all. I really want that to be the name. I think that's the best option. But right now we have some disease. So the disease is going to be spread in an AoE. It's going to be applied to any of the phobies that it hits. This is going to be difficult, but similar to Collector, we have 2 phobies in addition to the 2 we previously had that will allow either phobie to actually connect. Now, personally, I'm leaning towards Collector. No influence here at all, but I'm leaning towards Collector as a stronger option of these because disease is typically not very good. It's very difficult to get value out of it because of the elongated nature of the effect, but applying disease to multiple phobies simultaneously can be catastrophic. We've seen plenty of games pre-nerf where boss will get disease by a smiley or a foul or whatever, and then the boss player can just heal it up through Clinico or other means. You can't do that if like 2, 3, 4, 5 of your phobies are diseased. And this thing is pretty damn tanky. We were talking about Collector having 2,200 health and being tankier than boss. This has 2,500 health. Like that's a significant amount of HP, and it's entirely possible that you could see this thing survive to see another turn. I mean, I'm going to pull up Goon here. My level 8 Goon is only 2,700 health, almost 2,800 health. Like this is fairly tanky. There's a world in which this thing survives not just to connect with one thing, but to connect with multiple things over the course of several turns, especially if you drop this guy in and you start a barbecue that your opponent really doesn't want a part of. And trust me, you really don't want food poisoning. It's not fun. It's not fun. Do not recommend. Do not recommend. So we'll have to see how this guy plays out. As always, the 1/1 kind of scares me on the movement and the range, similar to Collector, but the payoff could be worth it. The payoff could be worth it if you just fling this guy into your opponent's team and tag multiple phobies. 350 disease damage adds up fairly quickly. Next up is one of the ones that I think everybody's excited about, and that's Le Chauvel, the Shovel Shark. I'm probably just going to call him Shovel Shark from now on. 3 cost, 1,200 health, 2 move, 1 range, 450 damage, and nudge. Push a friendly unit. This is going to be bomb. Like, there's no way this is bad, right? This probably is the best phobie out of the whole batch, and it's an uncommon. So shout out to the devs for not putting this guy at ultra rare. They could have put this guy at ultra rare, and I don't think anybody would have, like, I don't think anyone would have batted an eye. They would have gone, yeah, that thing's real good. Admittedly, not necessarily as flashy as some of the other phobies, but the thing about this is, as Chad is pointing out, is that there's no warm-up, there's no cooldown. So hypothetically, if you already have this guy, you know, like crawling up the butt of your team, you can go boop, boop, and just pop 2 of your guys forward, And then all of a sudden, they are that much closer. We've already seen the power in Akira. We already seen the power from, Paddle's plays. But this thing popping out, so you could have something already on the board. You pop this out, walk up to it, boop it, and suddenly that thing has one extra range, which is the difference between just being bonkers and being okay. You can't push twice in one turn? Okay, I stand corrected. Can't do the double nudge. Can't do the double nudge. But you can absolutely pop out and use this right away. And when have we seen that before? Cupcake. I don't want to be too hasty. I do want to see this play out. There is... I'm internally debating about which is potentially more dangerous. This or Cupcake. But this seems really good. This seems really good. Expect a lot of sharks in your future. Study up. Watch some Shark Week. It's early for Shark Week. But yeah, I expect to see a lot of this guy. It may become... public enemy number 1 pretty quick. We'll have to see. Next up is Hercules. Yes, I know what it says on screen. I'm calling it Hercules. But the ability is, in fact, named Murder of Bees. Which, is that actually the plural? The grouping? What is a group of bees called? Please tell me it's a murder. Now, the collective noun for a group of bees is a colony. Bees! Officially, real world-wise, it's a colony, and I know it's a murder of crows, but, a murder of bees is just, I love this. I love this. I don't know why, but this guy in-game looks awesome to me. It's really not a massive, massive difference to the existing Ginsting and Hematic Ginsting model, but this guy looks sweet to me. I love this. I just love this. So anyway, 7 key, 1800 health. I think that might be the lowest health. We obviously just had this guy. 2 move, 2 range, 500 damage. And Murder of Bees, a 2 range ability for 600 damage with a 50% damage reduction, a 1 key, or a 1 turn cooldown, excuse me. Deals damage to an enemy unit, deals 50% damage to all adjacent enemy units, and 25% damage to all enemy units 2 tiles away from the target. So as many were pointing out, this is similar to Mildred. Wherever she is. There she is. What would be nice, and what I wanted to point out here, I know it's kind of obscured here, so I'm going to hide Hercules momentarily. Both Mildred and Hercules have no indication on the initial ability that it's not just damage, reduced damage, and then more reduced damage until you click to the back. It would be nice if there was another, pipe, 25%. You know what I mean? That would be nice to have. It's not obviously a requirement, but it would be cool. This guy looks fun. I mean, it's going to be fun. Do we need another 7 key that's just a dummy? I mean, we actually don't really have just dummy 7 keys. We have Alligator, but it's melee. We have Sparky, but it's electrical. You have Hevo, but it's a lob and it has a boop. You have Oopsie, but it's a 3 ranger. You have Mother Load, but it does the AoE. You have Blasto, but it has the Blom. I guess Pterodactyl, but it flies. The attack icon is the damage type, and it's different from other AoEs. No, is it? That's what Ginsting looks like. And that, I mean, that looks pretty similar to me. That looks pretty similar to me. Oh, I see the difference. Okay, that's not enough of a difference. I agree. Yeah, I'm seeing what you're saying now. Rhetoric. I like that name. That's funny to me. That's not enough. That's not enough. That needs to be more distinct to me. I like amusing internet names. You may have to manually change the stream quality, Quandavius. Sometimes Twitch does that. What am I to you? I mean, non-tinkle. Like, do we need to create a tier list of stream viewer names? Is that where we're going? I get what's going on. There's an economy in iconography here, but I don't think that set, like, it needs to be more prominent to me. I legitimately missed that. Now that I see it, I will still miss it going forward. Like, if there's a new phobie, I will only realize it after I read the text and go back and look. 100%. But as far as Hercules goes, to DT's point, I do think adding another relevant 7 key to the game does have value, but I do like the idea of the 7 key slot being a utility slot where I'm getting, Oopsie has a power down, Motherload has an AoE, Kivo 2.0 has a boop, you get a Blom at a Blasto, that sort of thing. Graylien has its unique pulls, you obviously get Brony, Rambolina, that sort of thing. This here is just dummy damage. Like, I'm a big dummy that punches stuff good, which is fine. Those phobies need to exist, and this guy may even be good. The fact that it's such a big AoE, like, that... This thing has to be good, right? Like, there has to be a way to play this. It's difficult for me to believe that this will not be good. Chat saying the event is out? All right. Well, we got more phobies to talk about, chat. Next up is Phantom, or I don't know how to pronounce this. Shout out to my wife who would. I don't. But anyway, we got a 5-key dimensional here. By the way, obviously, Hercules was monster. Chauvel was monster. Brute Worst was monster. Did we get any undead? I mean, we just got the undead event, but we'll talk about that at the end. 5-key dimensional, 1500 health, 2 move, 1 range, 450 damage, transposer. 3 range, as mentioned in the notes, teleports a friendly unit to an adjacent tile, 2 warm up, 3 cooldown. This is really cool. Obviously, the reverse Heartbreaker. Reverse Heartbreaker. This one's tough with Shovel Shark being in the same update. Like, it's really hard to look at one and go, couldn't I just do that with the other guy? Obviously, they do wildly different things, although they are in the same general category. I think it's Phantom. Probably. I do like this guy, and obviously we have Brute Worst and we have Collector. Shout out to the devs. It's pretty cool that we have this. I think it's going to fall into the same category or same issue as Akira and Heartbreaker. Now, it's very... Well, I guess they're not substantially different costs, because Heartbreaker's 8, Akira's 9. Phantom is 5. We get Shovel Shark at 3. So they're, they aren't worlds apart. It's not like one costs 2 and one costs 8 or something like that, so that they come in 2 totally different parts of the game. They kind of come out at about the same time. The warm-up, the cooldown, the fact that you have to... So this is going to teleport the thing next to this. The problem is that means that this needs to be exposed. So Shovel Shark can just, hey, get in there, buddy, and just push your friend, or their friend, into the fray. This needs to get its ass into the fight and then bring its buddy in, which means that it's used up its entire set of actions for the turn and is completely vulnerable. And at 1500 health, like, this is not super tanky, right? Like, this is not an incredibly tanky phobie. So I do appreciate maybe playing it safe with this, because this ability could be absolutely broken. As it stands, I'm not like we're 100% going to see viewer games where people show up with this thing and they just drop something in, like they drop a kaboom in the middle of their opponent's team, and all of a sudden everything evaporates. That's 100% going to happen. Whether it's that, it's brute worst, it's collector, it's whatever. These things are going to happen. However, the warm-up, the cooldown, it's just going to be very difficult to make it happen. And this might be one that doesn't show up all that often. But we shall see. You got to prove it to me, chat. All right, Haffy. Haffy, as mentioned earlier, what was it? Haphophobia, the fear of being touched, which is very fitting with Temper. So it's a 2-key, it's an uncommon, 1500 health, 2 move, 1 range, so melee, 100 damage, and Temper, self-buff when damaged. Now, there were a couple questions that have come up with this that I don't think we quite have the answers to yet. So when damage is received, increases its own damage. I'm reading from the back of the card here. Does not include damage from lava. It's mechanical, so it's not going to get poisoned or diseased. By the way, this guy looks cool. Like, I think he looks really cool. He reminds me of an 80s horror movie, like B horror movie monster. But what I'm curious about is, does this guy, and I'm not the first person to ask this, does this guy, if he gets hit multiple times, get stacking buffs? Because while I agree with chat, the low damage base is problematic. It's obviously low intentionally, right? So this is clearly going to be anti-kleptos, anti-boss, any of the AoEs. However, it's also going to be anti-trap, right? If this guy gets tagged by a random fire ant trap, there you go. If it gets tagged by a random unicorn trap, there you go. This guy could represent a lot of damage output. I'm not super enthusiastic about Haffy. I have to see this guy in action because, similar to Boomer, at least this guy has some damage output, so he can interact with the board in some capacity. But this is lower than the damage output, unless you do 2 hits. This is lower damage output than a poison tile. Like it's just not a lot of damage output. 1500 HP is a lot. K9000 has 1100. K9000, though, can represent some damage. That being said, the fact that it does damage at all, and it can be used at, like, this guy, you know where he's going to show up is in the Alien Engineer Floor's Lava strategy. Obviously, you can't buff because of lava, but if you plug this guy in a hole and say you must go through him while the rest of my team is pummeling your heart, given the huge health pool, or the key cost, your opponent's going to have to interact with them, and then all of a sudden they're in a bad spot. Like, even a single set of retaliatory attacks could be significant enough to secure a game. I'm not ruling this guy out. I feel like I think Phantom, to me, is lower on my list than Haffy. Not by much, though. I don't think. But I'm undecided. We'll have to see how it plays out. And then we're back to the beginning, chat. That's all 7 of the new Phobies. So those are the new Phobies. We're going to be getting into a pack opening momentarily, but we got to close out this particular section. Let me know what you're most excited about out of the new ones, out of the Phobies, out of the maps, out of the update, out of this, out of that. We got all kinds of things going on for the Birthday Bash Monster Mash. I know I'm excited, and I can't wait to get in there, try out these new Phobies, including the Collector. Shout out once again to the devs for gifting me that. But that's going to do it for this particular video. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time for more Random Slots.